April 1st, 2025. The sun rises over the Taiwan Strait. Within hours, 135 Chinese warplanes tear through the sky. 38 warships encircle the island. Live missiles scream toward simulated targets, ports, energy facilities, airfields. This isn't war, not yet. It's a rehearsal. Code name, Strait Thunder 2025A. For 2 days, the People's Liberation Army conducts the most aggressive military drill ever staged around Taiwan. Not a blockade, not an invasion, but something far more calculated. A blueprint, a warning, and most importantly, a test. Unlike previous drills that ended rapidly, Strait Thunder 2025A demonstrated phase-specific features of a potential campaign against Taiwan, with a clear temporal progression and a notable increase in the number of forces involved. For the first time, China practiced boarding inspections of ships in the Taiwan Strait. For the first time, Coast Guard vessels enforced a simulated quarantine. For the first time, the world saw what Phase 2 of a Taiwan invasion would actually look like. 23 million people woke up that morning surrounded, and the Pentagon called it routine training. This is Strait Thunder 2025A, the dress rehearsal for the war no one wants to admit is coming. To understand what happened in April 2025, you need to understand the pattern. For decades, China has claimed Taiwan as a renegade province. Beijing insists reunification is inevitable. The government in Taipei, led by President Lai Ching-te, insists Taiwan is already sovereign. It's a standoff frozen in time since 1949. When the defeated Republic of China government fled to the island after losing the Chinese Civil War. But in recent years, that freeze has been thawing rapidly. China launched a large-scale drill in October 2024 called Joint Sword 2024B, which simulated a blockade of Taiwan. Before that, Joint Sword 2024A in May. Before that, drills in 2023, 2022, and every year stretching back. Each exercise grows larger, each one pushes closer, and each one follows the same playbook: joint operations involving the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Rocket Force, multi-directional encirclement, simulated strikes on key infrastructure, a show of force designed to intimidate Taiwan and send a message to the United States: stay out. But Strait Thunder 2025A was different. On April 2nd, the PLA Eastern Theater Command announced that it had completed the Strait Thunder 2025A exercise in the middle and southern sea areas of the Taiwan Strait, with the exercise focused on training subjects such as identification and verification, warning and expulsion, and interception and detention. This wasn't just about encirclement, it was about control, maritime interdiction, quarantine enforcement, the kind of operations that turn a blockade into starvation. According to data from Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, over the course of these 2 days, the PLA deployed 135 aircraft, 38 naval vessels, and 12 official vessels in the surrounding area. And unlike past drills, this one had a name that hinted at what was coming. The A in Strait Thunder 2025A suggested it was just the beginning.
Japan watches nervously. Chinese warships now regularly operate near the Ryukyu Islands. South Korea sees PLA aircraft violating its airspace. The Philippines faces harassment in the South China Sea. The entire first island chain, the defensive perimeter stretching from Japan to Taiwan to the Philippines, is under pressure. And the U.S.? It's caught in a dilemma. Washington has spent decades maintaining strategic ambiguity on Taiwan. It sells weapons to Taipei. It conducts freedom of navigation operations, but it won't say whether it would defend Taiwan in a war. That ambiguity is collapsing. In March 2025, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned that a Chinese military attack against Taiwan could be imminent. The first F-16V Block 70 fighter jet was delivered to Taiwan that same month, part of an $8 billion arms package designed to modernize Taiwan's Air Force. But experts warn it's not enough. Taiwan's acquisition of upgraded F-16V fighters marks a significant step forward, but does little to close the yawning gap with China's rapidly modernizing Air Force. China operates 3 aircraft carriers, the Liaoning, the Shandong, and soon the Fujian, which is currently undergoing sea trials, plus hundreds of advanced J-20 stealth fighters. Taiwan has 66 new F-16s on order, and they won't all arrive until 2026. The math doesn't add up, and China knows it. The human cost. But behind the numbers, there's a human story. 23 million people live in Taiwan. They go to work, they raise families, they build lives. And every few months, they wake up to find their island surrounded by warships. Imagine that. Imagine looking out your window and seeing foreign military aircraft overhead. Imagine your children asking if war is coming. Imagine not knowing the answer. That's the reality for Taiwan, and it's getting worse. As of September 29, 2024, Taiwan detected 407 Chinese military aircraft around the island, with at least 284 crossing the median line. The psychological toll is immense. Taiwan's military is on constant alert. Pilots fly round-the-clock patrols. Radar operators stare at screens tracking every Chinese movement. Burnout is inevitable. Morale suffers. And China knows that too. This isn't just about military capability. It's about breaking Taiwan's will to resist, making them believe that resistance is futile, that unification is inevitable, that they're alone. But Taiwan refuses to surrender. In September 2025, something remarkable happened. China's third aircraft carrier, the Fujian, departed from Shanghai and transited the Taiwan Strait, proceeding to the South China Sea for scientific research trials and training tasks. It's the most advanced carrier China has ever built. 80,000 tons, electromagnetic catapults, capable of launching J-35 stealth fighters and KJ-600 early warning aircraft. The Fujian is not yet combat ready, but it will likely take about 3 more months to train an efficient air wing, meaning it will contribute to a fully operational 3-carrier strike capability by next year. 3 carriers, hundreds of modern warships, thousands of aircraft, and a military budget that grows every year. China is building the force it needs to take Taiwan, and it's practicing the operations to do it.
This is the outer layer of what analysts call the Cabbage Strategy. Wrap Taiwan in multiple layers of ships, aircraft, and missiles. The inner layer strangles the island. The outer layer keeps the U.S. at bay. And it's working. By the end of Day 2, the PLA Eastern Theater Command announced it wrapped up 2 days of drills around Taiwan, vowing to maintain combat readiness and prevent any attempts of Taiwanese independence. But the drill isn't really over, because the forces don't withdraw. They stay on high alert. The carrier groups linger. The Coast Guard vessels patrol. The message: this could go live at any moment. The propaganda blitz. Alongside the military maneuvers, China launches a psychological warfare campaign. The PLA released a series of posters and animated videos, including one depicting President Lai as a parasite squeezed between a pair of chopsticks above a burning Taiwan, accusing the Taiwanese government of colluding with foreign forces. It's unusually explicit. Past drills kept the propaganda vague. This time, China names names. It targets Taiwan's political leadership directly. The intent is to sow fear, to demoralize, to make the Taiwanese people question whether resistance is worth it. But Taiwan doesn't blink. President Lai issues a statement condemning the drills as irresponsible threats. The United States backs him up. The State Department says China's escalating military intimidation tactics only serve to exacerbate tensions and undermine cross-strait peace and stability. But words don't stop warships, and Taiwan knows it. The timeline implications. Here's what makes Strait Thunder 2025A so dangerous. The code name. The name Strait Thunder 2025A suggests that the PLA is likely to conduct additional such drills this year, and hints that future exercises could exceed the scale of previous joint sword military exercises. Strait Thunder 2025B, 2025C, maybe more. Each one larger, each one more aggressive, each one pushing the envelope of what China can do without triggering a military response from the US. Analysts call this salami slicing. You don't invade overnight. You normalize aggression. You make the unacceptable routine. And then, when you finally cross the line, the world has already grown numb. The Eastern Theater Command's exercise program has transitioned over the last 2 years from 3 to 4 exercises a year to almost monthly operations, said Carl Schuster, a former director of operations at the U.S. Pacific Command's Joint Intelligence Center. Monthly operations. Let that sink in. Taiwan is being conditioned to live under siege, and the world is being conditioned to ignore it. So, what did Strait Thunder 2025A accomplish? From a military perspective, it was a resounding success for China. The PLA demonstrated it could deploy overwhelming force on short notice. It practiced the precise operations needed to blockade Taiwan, and it did so without provoking a military response from the United States. From a geopolitical perspective, it was a warning shot. The code name 2025A suggests that these drills are the first of many, and Beijing's actions signal broader ambitions to assert maritime control through hybrid measures. Taiwan is the immediate target, but the implications go far beyond the island.
At dawn, the People's Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command issues a terse announcement: joint military exercises around Taiwan. No warning, no justification beyond the standard line about Taiwan independence provocations. Within hours, the skies fill with aircraft. Between 6 a.m. Tuesday and 6 a.m. Wednesday, 76 PLA aircraft, 15 PALN ships, and 4 official ships were detected operating around Taiwan, with 37 sorties crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait and entered Taiwan's northern, central, southwestern, and eastern air defense identification zone. F-16Vs from Taiwan's 22nd Fighter Squadron scrambled to intercept. Taiwan's F-16Vs are equipped with AIM-120D air-to-air missiles with a range exceeding 150 kilometers, paired with AN-APG-83 AESA radar for extended detection. They shadow Chinese jets but do not engage. This is a test of nerves. Both sides know it. But the real story isn't in the air, it's at sea. For the first time in any drill around Taiwan, China deploys Coast Guard vessels into the Taiwan Strait, not as observers, but as enforcers. The exercise showcased operations specific to the second phase of a potential campaign against Taiwan, involving containing and blockading maritime vessels entering and exiting Taiwan, and even conducting boarding inspections, the first drill of its kind in the Taiwan Strait. This is the key. In a real conflict, China wouldn't just bomb Taiwan, it would strangle it, cut off shipping lanes, intercept cargo vessels, prevent fuel, food, and medicine from reaching the island. And in Strait Thunder 2025A, the PLA practiced exactly that. Taiwan's Coast Guard watches helplessly. they lack the firepower to resist. The message is clear. In a blockade scenario, Taiwan's civilian maritime traffic would be at China's mercy. April 2nd, Day 2. The escalation continues. The Eastern Theater Command's ground-based missile units conducted live firing in the East China Sea as part of the drills, involving precision strikes on simulated targets as key ports and energy facilities. Video footage released by Chinese state media shows PCL-191 multiple rocket launchers deploying to coastal positions. The missiles arc into the sky. The targets? Simulated versions of Taiwan's critical infrastructure. Power plants, fuel depots, naval bases. The symbolism isn't subtle. This is what Phase 1 of an invasion looks like. Cripple the defenses, blind the radar, destroy the runways, then move to Phase 2, the blockade. And China isn't just practicing near Taiwan, it's practicing far from it. According to Professor Zhang Qi of China's National Defense University, during the drill, the PLA created a strong maritime barrier through choke point control with its aircraft carrier strike groups, creating external obstruction and internal pressure aimed at preventing interference from external forces. Translation: the U.S. Navy. Chinese warships position themselves not just around Taiwan, but at strategic choke points far out into the Pacific. An aircraft carrier group operated farther from Taiwan than during previous drills, and China Coast Guard Vessel 2302 operated more than 100 nautical miles east of Taiwan.
Strait Thunder 2025A wasn't just a drill. It was a message. To Taiwan, you are surrounded. To the United States, we can do this faster than you can respond. To the world, this is happening, and you're not stopping it. But here's the thing about Taiwan. It's not just an island. It's a symbol, a democracy of 23 million people who refuse to be ruled by a government they didn't choose. It's a technological powerhouse producing the semiconductors that power the modern world. It's a strategic linchpin in the Indo-Pacific, sitting at the crossroads of trade routes worth trillions of dollars. If Taiwan falls, the balance of power shifts, not just in Asia, everywhere. And that's why Strait Thunder 2025A matters. It's not about whether China will invade Taiwan. It's about when, and whether the world will stand by and watch. Right now in the Taiwan Strait, the rehearsals continue. The warships patrol, the aircraft circle, and 23 million people live under the shadow of a war that hasn't started yet. But the clock is ticking, and the world is running out of time to decide what it will do when the rehearsal becomes the real thing. This is Strait Thunder 2025A, the dress rehearsal for the war of the 21st century. And it's already begun.